Welcome to the quick start video for creating a Polinode survey. The purpose of this video is to get you up and running with relationship-based surveys in Polinode as quickly as possible. So you'll see we're at the surveys view here, and you'll also notice that we have a template survey in our account, just as you will. But I'm not going to explore this template survey. You can click edit here to have a look at some of the questions in that survey. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit new survey, and let's give this survey a name. So I'll call it first survey, and I'll hit create, and we automatically go to the edit view for this survey. And there are really three steps in creating this survey. The first is to create the questions for the survey. The second is to upload a respondent list and also manage any other lists that you have as well. And the third is to send the survey out, so to draft your email and to basically email that survey out. So let's have a look at the questions. To create some questions, we just hit this question button. And we need to select a type for the question. So you'll see there's quite a few question types here. And there's a more detailed tutorial video that will walk you through all these different question types and the options that you have. But I'm just going to hit search and select as my first question type. And I'm going to use what's called a name generator question. So I'm going to ask a relationship question. And just to keep things simple, I'll just ask a nice short question, say, who do you work with regularly? And in Polinode, questions can be either relationship questions or non-relationship questions. If they're relationship questions, then you get an interactive network for every relationship question that you ask. If they're not relationship questions, then the answers become attributes on the nodes, so attributes on the respondents. So I'm going to hit yes for relationship question, and now we have the choice of where do these relationships come from? Do they come from the respondent list? So are we asking respondents about their relationships with other respondents? Or do they come from something called a supplementary list, which allows us to ask more flexible questions, so not just about respondents, but about anything at all? Or do they come from an earlier relationship question? So this is question piping, where we pipe the answers from a previous question into a subsequent question. So for this question, I'm just going to keep things nice and simple and have the source of relationships that we're asking about come from the respondent list. So I'm going to hit add on that, and here we have that question. I'm also going to show you one other question type here. So I'm going to show you question piping, but in order to use question piping, we need to put a page break in between the questions. So we just hit question, go to page break, and add, and that will add a page break in there. If you forget to add a page break and you click this check survey button, it will tell you that it'll remind you that you need to add a page break. So it's always a good idea just to hit check survey to make sure that there's nothing that you're forgetting about. And now my other question type, for this I'm going to use the numerical slider question. And here I'm going to ask, how often do you interact with the people that you nominated? And this is going to be a relationship question. And like I said, I'm using question piping here. So I'm going to click on answer to earlier relationship question. And I'm going to link it up to question 1. And I'll add that. And now if we want to look at what this very simple survey looks like, I just hit preview survey. And here we have this name generator question, so I can start typing someone's name and then someone else's name. And that's how I can select a couple of people. And then if I hit next for the next page, you can see I have the numerical slider question with the names piped from the previous question. So I won't hit submit because this is just a preview. So that's the creation of a very simple survey. And the second step, if I click on lists, I now need to upload a list of my respondents. So here, if I hit upload respondent list, it tells me that I need to choose a file. And in order to get that file, I'm just going to download this template. And if we open this up, we can see what the respondent list looks like. So there's really two compulsory columns, the name column and the email column. And these other columns you see here are optional additional attributes. So if you already have some information on your respondents, so typically this is things like gender or tenure or division, so demographic type data, you can add them here. So you don't need to ask the respondents questions that you already have data on. And anything that you add as these optional additional attributes will become attributes on your respondents in the interactive networks. But you'll want to add some names and some emails, so we can just call this custom name just to illustrate adding a name in here. And then I'm going to hit save on this file. And then if I go back here, I'm going to choose this file and I'll choose the respondent list that I just hit save on. And now I'm going to upload this file. And you can upload respondent lists with up to 10 respondents, so 10 rows, without worrying about purchasing the respondent credits. But once you're ready for a larger survey, a more realistic size survey, you'll need to purchase some respondent credits in order to upload those larger lists. So I'm just going to hit upload, and now this list has been uploaded, and you can see that that the name here has been changed to custom name. If I click on any of these names, it will take me to the response for that respondent. I can also see the status is not sent, and if I wanted to edit the name or email of that respondent, I could just hit this edit button. I can also download the respondent list from here. And it's always a good idea if you want to edit the respondents, as in add some more or delete some, just download the respondent list and edit that downloaded respondent list to make sure you're always working with the latest list. I won't cover supplementary lists in this video, so you can look at some more detailed tutorials for that. So now I'm going to go to the third step, which is collect responses. And again, there are some advanced options here. But the simplest option is just to use this built-in mail merge functionality to send out all of your emails to all of your respondents. And so you can edit your email subject, so customize that. You can also edit the body of your email. And you can see if we hover over this information button that there are 3 mail merge variables: first name, full name, and URL. So here we have first name in curly brackets, and that will be replaced by the first name of the respondent in your respondent list. So that name before the space in that names column. And then URL, this is the unique URL that every respondent will receive. And so URL in curly brackets will be replaced by the unique URL for each respondent. So you'll probably want to leave first name, and you'll definitely want to leave URL in this email. But the rest of this you can customize, and just be sure to add your name at the bottom of this email. And when you're ready, you can send a test email to both yourself and anybody else that you would like to have a look at this survey in test form. And when you're happy for it to be sent out to everybody, just hit email survey and then hit email all, and all the respondents will receive that survey. But here I won't do that because I'm just demonstrating this. If we go back to surveys, you'll see that here's the first survey. Its status is currently offline. And you can see, we could go back to edit here. There's a lot more functionality to manage this, the responses, etc. under manage. And then once you're ready, once the responses have come in, you can hit this generate button. So if we hit generate, just as an example, and hit generate these networks, what we'll get is a private network a private network for each relationship question that we asked. So here we have the name of the survey, the question number, the text of that question, the fact that it's a private network, because surveys can only ever produce private networks, and all surveys are private. And so we have that for question 1, and we also have it for question 2. And then if we want to explore this, we'll just hit explore, and here's the data. Now here we don't have any responses. This is just a very simple example survey, so there's no edges here. But it gives you an idea of the process of creating a survey and then generating networks from that survey. So that's it for this short tutorial video. If you want to see more detail about creating surveys, I do recommend that you have a look at that more detailed tutorial, but you should have enough to get started just with this short tutorial.